Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Community Connections from our ELLICSR Kitchen team of the Cancer Rehabilitation Survivorship Program at the Princess Margaret Cancer Center. Hello again. My name is Jeremy Capone. I'm the wellness chef, joined as always by the amazing registered dietitian Daniela Ferrini. Hello,
Hi.
Daniela.
Hi.
And
Happy Nutrition Month.
Happy Nutrition Month, exactly, yes. And just a quick thank you again, if you did tune in a little bit earlier, a wonderful presentation from the Colorectal Cancer Resource and Action Network team. If you didn't catch it, then we'll provide all the links below, and you can watch all the recordings afterwards. We have a wonderful session for you today for Nutrition Month, for Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. And to start things off, I will throw it over to you, Daniela. Thank you.
Hi. So yes, it's also Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month, and we're really happy to have had this wonderful presentation from Cran all about ostomies. And so we thought that our cooking and nutrition demonstration should align. So we are going to focus on foods that you can incorporate into the diet, or foods you need to avoid during the first few weeks after the ostomy placement, which may be the most difficult time because your body needs to adjust to a shortening of the intestine if that's happened. Where the ostomy has been placed, is it in the small intestine, the large intestine? And we also need some good nutrition for healing and recovery. Some of the restrictions may occur just during the first few weeks, so don't worry. Eventually, you may be able to return to a regular diet. But our recipes today are going to focus on maintaining hydration, especially if ostomy output is high in the beginning. Normal output for an ileostomy is about 500 to a liter. For colostomy, it's 200 to 600 ml per day. So if you're above that, you may need to have increased hydration, more than the 6 to 8 cups per day. We'll look at limiting the amount of fiber in the diet. Also, this is temporary, as mentioned earlier. This is until the stoma has stabilized. Initially, the opening may be smaller, there may be swelling. So it may be more risky when it comes to blockage. So having lower fiber or different types of fiber is key. And then for some people who have developed a lactose intolerance or who have a lactose intolerance, we'll use foods that are dairy-free or are lactose-free. And then avoiding carbonated beverages. Well, we're not having any today, but I just thought it was important to bring that up because sometimes there's a lot of gas or wind when you have an ostomy, and avoiding carbonated beverages, not drinking fluids through a straw is something that is helpful. And of course, we are going to include protein, calories where it's needed, because we need that for healing. I ran through that pretty quickly, but there is a full list of recommendations. If you go to the great presentation by Cran today, their dietitian Felicia Newell included a great, wonderful, informative session on nutrition during, like right after having an ostomy, and then in the future and getting back to a good diet. There are other resources also. And that's the UHN University Health Network's Eating after an ileostomy. And then there's the NourishOnline's Coping with Changes to the Digestive Tract. And Jeremy, remind me, where will they be able to get those?
Yes. Thanks, Neil. Yes. So those links, we'll provide links to those. If you're tuning in through YouTube, check the description section. And we'll provide links to all those resources that Daniela mentioned, or if you're joining us through our website, elixirkitchen.ca, on the full recipe page in the nutrition notes at the bottom, we'll provide links to those resources and the presentation from Cran as well.
Great. Okay, that's enough of me talking. We need to get to what we are here for. And as per usual, Jeremy has created 3 wonderful recipes for us. And they are an apple cinnamon silken tofu ice cream, a Manhattan style clam chowder, and a creamy risotto with roasted squash. They sound amazing. But just one more disclaimer before we go into the kitchen. Sorry, I forgot to mention this earlier. If any of the information we provide today differs with what your healthcare team and your dietitian have said, please check with them first before adding that food. These guidelines, what we're incorporating today, are general, and it's not tailored to your specific situation. And we all know that we are unique beings with our own ways of digesting and absorbing nutrients. Also, foods allowed and not allowed sometimes differ between one low fiber diet and another. So keep that in mind as well. If something we're adding is not in line with what you have, then we can, you can make a substitution. Look at the list of ingredients you've been directed to use and include that instead. Okay, that's really enough of me. I promise it's done now. We're into the kitchen for that first recipe.
We love hearing from you. Don't apologize. All right, so to start off, like Danielle mentioned, we'll be making, this is an ice cream. We're starting off with the desserts. We're switching things up a little bit. So I think super exciting. And this is a dessert that we're making with our food processor. If you don't have a food processor, you can do this with a blender if it has like a wider base. With the funneled blender, the surface area might be a little too small, so you might just have to break it up in different stages. But this is something a little bit different, which it's, I guess another look at hydration, right? I guess we don't always think about ice cream, right? But
yeah, no, true. This is a great rehydrating recipe. That's what I would refer to it as. Yes.
Love it. So we're gonna start off with silken tofu. Now, silken tofu, this is a dairy-free ice cream. So I love the addition of silken tofu to provide that creaminess, to provide some of that moisture, because the water content in it is a little bit higher than regular tofu. But it is also, I guess, Danielle, a good protein option as well, right?
Excellent protein. So dairy-free, excellent protein, excellent plant-based protein. And I know like some people are concerned about the phytoestrogens. Phyto, the PHYTO refers to plant, so estrogens in plant form, but they do not act the same way as the hormone estrogen. So please don't be worried about using tofu. It's not going to increase your risk of cancer. Okay. The other thing about it, oh, are you blending? Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Oh, I can't tell that it's blending. Okay. What I forgot to say earlier is that this recipe is rich in protein from the silken tofu, but it's also rich in sodium and potassium. It may sound weird that I'm saying rich in sodium, rich in salt. Usually we avoid that. But if your output from your ostomy is high, these are also known as electrolytes that you may be losing, and sometimes you need to replenish it. Along with the fluid. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Danielle. Okay, so silken tofu was the first ingredient, and while Danielle was talking, just went ahead and blitzed that up. So to break it down, and you get this like really nice sort of almost like yogurt consistency. But this is going to just make everything a lot easier to blend and give you this more even mixture versus like chunks of tofu and your other ingredients. So breaking it down first, that's the first pulse. The next pulse will be our apples, and for this, we're making it really, really easy. I know Danielle will probably talk about, removing the skins of fruit. Like if you wanted to do your own apples, removing the skins, removing the seeds. Applesauce is pretty much already broken down for you. All those skins and the seeds are already removed, so it makes the process so much easier. And that is what I'm doing, getting this unsweetened applesauce, about a cup. And we're going to add this in. Now, The key to make it more of an ice cream consistency is to, outside of the silken tofu, to use products that will be almost frozen. So what you can do is even like if you have like a jar of applesauce, it's a good way to even just extend the shelf life. Put it into like either muffin tins or ice cube trays, and you can freeze it into cubes so you have this like frozen applesauce that you can incorporate into like baked goods and muffins if you're cooking, or for smoothies, which is great, and also for desserts or dishes like this, where you have this like frozen cube, which I prefer especially if I'm making a smoothie, I don't want to add ice to dilute it. I would rather add just frozen fruit. So that's a great way to especially if you have a jar of applesauce, you don't want it to go to waste, sort of extend the shelf life. So I'm adding the applesauce, excuse me, chuck me a little saliva. The applesauce and frozen, also some banana as well. About 1 medium banana frozen. This is also going to help us to get that really nice sort of creamy consistency. So put all that in there. And then the last thing would be the flavor. So I'm going to start off with some spices. This is cinnamon, and I have a little bit of nutmeg here. Now, Danielle, you can maybe confirm as well. I know that some of the restrictions, spicy.
Yeah, it's spicy. The heat. Yeah.
Heat would be on the sort of a limit list or avoid list. So we're talking about spices here. It's not the hot spices. These are other spices, so like the ground cinnamon and the nutmeg, which we'll be adding. And again, this is optional. You can add whatever flavors you like here. But I think with apple, cinnamon, nutmeg definitely goes together.
Definite excellent combo.
I didn't have it in my recipe, but a little bit of vanilla I'm going to add as well, because I had it in the pantry. I'm like, you know what? Let's do a little vanilla. This is a vanilla paste or vanilla extract you can use. Give it a little bit more flavor. And then we already have some sweetness from the banana, some sweetness from the apple. So I'll probably adjust this as needed if you want to add a little bit of honey, a little bit of maple syrup, but you don't really need a lot at all. So I'm going to start off with maybe like a teaspoon of maple syrup and then go from there. Because it is cold, we're making an ice cream. The sweetness will get muted quite a bit. So, adjust to your taste. But yeah, that's it. There we go. So we have all our ingredients in here. I'm going to go ahead and pulse this up. Scrape down the sides if I need. But the key here is to avoid adding any extra liquid if you can. It might look like it's not going to turn at all. Just keep scraping down the sides and keep pulsing until you get this like nice thickened, almost like frozen yogurt consistency. Okay, so I'll start blending. Maybe I'll mute myself.
Okay. So back to me. So what I want to talk about now is soluble fiber. So the applesauce and bananas are your go-tos, your usual foods that you find on a low fiber or low residue diet. And what both the applesauce and bananas contain is some soluble fiber. And that is different from the residue which can just go through your system and can get stuck in the stoma. But soluble fiber acts differently, and both applesauce and bananas contain a type of soluble fiber called pectin. And what soluble fiber does is that it acts like a gel. So it dissolves in water and forms this gel. And this gel helps to slow down the movement of food through the digestive tract. And this means that the intestines can absorb more of the nutrients and water during that process. So it's a good thing to have if you're having high output from your ostomy. It's also a good thing to incorporate if you're having excessive diarrhea as well. Okay, I think we timed that well, huh?
Perfect. Yes. So this is what we're looking for. And the one last thing I forgot to mention that we did add was about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So going back to
Yes.
Daniela's point about the sodium, I'll just mention quickly from a cooking or culinary perspective that little bit of salt you might think is odd in a dessert, but it will also help to enhance the flavors and the sweetness in the dish, so that we might not need any of that extra maple syrup at this point, which is good. So that was the one thing that didn't show you, but I added while I was pulsing, and pretty much we get it to this point. So right now it is like probably like a soft serve ice cream, which is amazing. So if you like it on the softer size, more of like a frozen yogurt, soft serve ice cream, this is perfect. If you like it a little bit firmer, what I would do is just put all this into a baking dish or a tray that would fit into your freezer, and then you can freeze until solid. Because this is mostly water, there's not a ton of fat in here. Because we don't have like cream, which you would find like an ice cream, it will get a little harder as it sits. So if you kept it in the freezer and you want to, have it a week after, just take it out of the freezer for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then it'll be nice and soft. So you can sort of use your ice cream scoop to scrape that out. But I am going to serve this up right now. So it's nice, almost like a soft serve. And I can smell these spices. So I know that I have enough of the cinnamon and the nutmeg in there. And to make this is an optional thing, but to make it a little bit more special, I'm going to add a little bit of these crushed up. These are biscoffs. It's like a Belgium or a cookie from Belgium that has some of the spices of like cinnamon and nutmeg and some of those things that work well. So you're going to have almost like this apple pie sort of feel to it. And so I'm just going to crush it up using the bottom of a bowl. Use a proper tool. This is what I have here. And that we have this crushed up little crumb on top to finish off. Again, really quick to make ice cream in like what, less than 10 minutes. Super delicious, super tasty, super hydrating as well. Yeah, really nice way to start off the class with our dessert. How about that?
Yeah. And you forgot super nutritious.
Super nutritious, of course. Yes.
Excellent. I love it. Soft serve is my preference. So I'll be there